Today we're going to be talking about Cal Kestis's Jedi Survivor Hilt. This one is produced by, or designed by Sabers, sold by Korbanth. I'm not entirely sure who produces them, to be honest, but might be Sabers themselves. Don't quote me on that. But I'm pretty excited to show you guys this one. This is a project that I've been working on with my client for a handful of months, honestly. And there's been a lot of like delays, whether it's with like um, parts not getting delivered or needing some new parts or anything like that. Like just a lot of delays that have been getting in the way of it. But I'm pretty excited to show you guys this one. This is like a pretty beefy hilt. It's quite large. I'm honestly like I've just been used to the 89 Sabers ones. I actually have one here just for comparison. I happen to have one on hand, but the 89 Sabers version is a lot smaller. I believe this one may be like the Elf Sabers may be more accurate to size, but I'm not entirely sure. I think they both look good in their own separate ways. But let's go ahead and go over the chassis. I'm gonna stop babbling because I am gonna talk a lot about the chassis. Um, so this is the first time I've done this. It is an all metal chassis. Um, well, except for this top part and two very minor parts that are for the negative battery contact right there and there. Um, so things I want to talk about with this install. Of course, I'll let you guys look at it a little bit real quick. It does have slots for two batteries. Profi board. This one is installed with a Profi board version 3.9. It has the wire covers down here. It has a accent pixel, and it has a 28 millimeter speaker. Now, this is one of the reasons why this build was taking a minute also. There was a lot of modifications that I had to do to the hilt itself as well as to the speaker, just to make this even work, because anyone who's installed one of these knows that this all the way through 27 millimeters. So even if you were to bore it out to 28 millimeters, you'd still need to bore it out even more than that, just so that you can have space for the wires to go around the speaker. So let's say you'd have to bore it out to 29 millimeters. And well, for one, I don't have a lathe, and any Dremel tool that I have is not long enough to like just bore all the way through from here to here. Um, so there was a lot of hiccups that we're like running into, or a lot of issues. But the client was patient, and we brainstormed a lot, and we ended up coming up with the idea of just ending up, instead of making this like a bottom loaded chassis where it would just be inserted through the bottom, it will be inserted through the top. Now that does make the well, taking the chassis in and out of the hilt very involved. It is a little time consuming, just because anyone who's taken this apart as well knows that there's quite a few steps to taking this apart. So let's go ahead and go over that now. And as you can tell, I mean, this top part isn't the best looking that it can, or as best looking as I would want it to be, but because of the fact that, again, it's 27 millimeters, I had no space to cover the speaker. I had to sand this down quite a bit. And then in here, I'm actually surprised that this works. And I'm sorry, guys, for babbling. I just wanted to talk about it. But you can see here, well, you can't see. Okay, you can see there, I've actually cut off quite a significant amount of the speaker, like the little plastic housing for the speaker, completely off of this side and this side, just so I can like run the wires through here. Um, so we spoke with Albert, or I can't even remember if I was the one who spoke with him or the client, because it's been a while already. But one of us spoke with Albert, and he mentioned that so long as none of the dust gets in the speaker, to give it a shot, but that he doesn't recommend it. And I was not recommending it either, but the client wanted a 28 millimeter speaker, so he was up for the challenge and up for and willing to take the risk. So we went ahead and did it, and it worked. It works. It works really well. So I was really surprised with that. Um, but I still had to bore it out because, as you can see here, this little rubber coating on the contacts of the back of the speaker stick out a little bit, so I had to bore it out even more than 28 millimeters just so that whenever it rubbed on there, it wouldn't rub on there. So there was a lot of modifications that we had to do to the speaker itself. I'm very happy that it works, but unfortunately it did mean that I had to like glue a lot of this together just so that it wouldn't come apart, but it's held on there like pretty tight now. So enough babbling. Let me go ahead and get to it now. Um, Turning the backside up around, you'll go ahead and take this off. There is a magnet on here. It is a little difficult to take it off. Oh, hold on. There you go. Kind of get your nail underneath it. Now, right here, there's usually a screw that holds this shroud down. I don't have it on there purely for the purpose of this video. But there's a screw that goes there. So just for the client, you know, you're gonna want to like take this off as well, the screw there, and put it back on, you know, in the order that we're taking this off, which would be, you know, magnet, screw, and then shroud, you pull it down. So once we're here, we're gonna need a screwdriver, and you actually will need a screwdriver for this screw back here. It's not a hex key or anything like that. So you'll pull this down and start unscrewing this. Now, like I mentioned, this is going to be a little involved. It is going to take some time just because there's 3 of these screws. But once they come off, they come off pretty easily. All right. And just be careful here on the last one because there is a there's nothing to really hold this down afterwards. Just this little like slide in part, but you don't want that to like slide in and or slide out and just bang up against the table or anything. Now, putting this to the side right now. Here you got your stock 6-row connectors. There is a tactile switch underneath here. And there's a CC Sabers NeoPixel connector in there. And you'll see that light up in just a minute. But this is its own thing. You can just put that to the side. Now, this is going to be kind of an eyesore, but it's on the inside. And me and the client talked about it. Now, this isn't something that I would normally do for a client. I did mention that I'm not really comfortable with like dremeling or doing any kind of like physical modifications to a hilt. That is not mine because, you know, if it's mine, it's mine. You know, if I mess it up, I won't care. And I'll likely end up weathering them anyways. But it was on the inside, and he really wanted this to be a 28 millimeter speaker. So he gave me the go ahead. He told me it was 100% okay. That if it looked ugly on the inside, you know, it is what it is. No one's gonna see it. So in here, yeah, I'm sorry guys. In here, you can see I actually had to go down quite a bit just because the wires were also kind of like scraping up against the side, and we had to go pretty deep in. Like you can tell how much this is thinner than this part here, just so that the side of the battery contact or the speaker contacts did not rub up against this. And I know it had to be this deep because this is actually the 3rd speaker that we're on. The first one, just the side of it rubbed off. Second one, after we had shaved this down quite a bit, You know, we thought it was going to be good, rubbed off again, and then third time's a charm. Now it's good to go. So once we're here, what we want to do is, well, of course, put this down. We want to put the batteries into the chassis. Now, because there is a double battery um, or dual batteries, there's no room for like a kill switch or anything like that. So this is going to just turn on immediately after you insert the first battery. But after that, you just simply insert the second one. It won't do anything else. And you'll have a lot of runtime. Now, the client wanted a double battery because he has a quad star blade. So that was the main drive behind this, so that it can just be super beefy, super powerful. Now, a message to the client. Normally, batteries will, of course, have the stickers. Take that off. I would definitely recommend to take this off, or to take the sticker off the battery, just because this. And another thing that I wanted to mention, just to anyone watching, not necessarily the client, I had designed this. I had misinterpreted what the client said. I thought he wanted a nylon chassis with brass bits, just like how I always do. But he wanted the whole thing to be nylon, and he really liked the design, so we ended up doing just the whole thing brass. So not all the dimensions are perfectly like, you know, how they should be, or as accurate as a nylon print would be for the battery holder and stuff. So that's why I'm mentioning this, to remove the battery sticker. That way it gives it more room. And batteries, you'll see that they have like a, hold on, you may be able to see it on this one better. Okay, like that. This wrinkle here, you'll want that to be kind of like on the edge here. So let me show you. Where's the wrinkle? Let me look at it in person. Right there. You kind of put it up against the edge there. And once you're there, you can just go ahead and insert the battery in. Now you'll see that the wrinkle is right there on the edge. The reason for this is just so that it gives it the maximum room. The wrinkle isn't pushed up against the back or pushed up against the front of the the back of the, it's not pushed up against the back of the battery compartment, and it's not pushed up against the back of the battery covers. So we'll go ahead and put, or well, actually let's put the other battery in. So as you can see, it turned on. And now we'll put the second one in. There you go. Boom. So you got your dual batteries in there. And this is the first time I've done anything like this. I'm actually extremely happy with how everything turned out, regardless of like how like all the workarounds that we had to do, just because this is awesome. Like, and this chassis is pretty heavy. Like, it's all brass, 2 batteries. It is hefty. So once we're here, you'll go ahead and line up the dots of the board cover, either with this or just with this screw hole. So we'll go ahead and insert that in there. And it is going to be a little bit of a snug fit, but nothing like terribly snug. Just go ahead and slide it in. And once we get here, you just kind of push it down with your thumb. And there you go. You're going to see it like kind of just rest a little bit above the lip there. That's all you need. So now we'll go ahead and put everything back. Again, this is going to be a little involved. I apologize. Maybe I'll pause the video and put everything together. Probably not, just so you guys can see it in real time. It's not, it doesn't take terribly long. It's just a little involved, that's all. So once you're here, line that up. Get your screwdriver. It'll help if you have like a magnetic screwdriver, because you can do it with one hand. You know what? But I'm not going to be dumb about this. I'm just going to insert it in there. But yeah, you would probably want like a good screwdriver. You don't want to drop these little screws anywhere and misplace them. Y'all can't see this, but behind the table I have a dark bluish rug, so it would not be fun. Now once you're there, I mean, you can just let it go and just be a little bit more lenient with it, since you already have one screw in there. All right. And this is going to be a little bit of a longer video, guys, mainly because of all the talking I was doing. I apologize. That would have been catastrophic if it landed on the floor. I would have had to stop the video right there. All right. Here we go. Okay, so once you're there, you put the screwdriver back there, but I'm not going to do that just because I'm going to want to take this off in just a minute. So we'll put the magnet back on. And there you go. So there's no motion controls to turn this on, only to turn it off. That's requested by the client. And it has all the fonts that he sent me, which is basically the Survivor font. So let's go ahead and turn it on. There you can see the lit NeoPixel connectors. And you guys can hear how it doesn't sound crackly or anything. That was the one thing I was kind of scared about, for it to sound like I cut into it. But you can't hear that. Oh. Actually, let's see that again. That actually might just be an SD card issue, because I believe the SD card is from Electronics 123, and I've been having issues with their SD cards, so I'll go ahead and take a look at that afterwards. But I've been testing this extensively. I've been sending them videos and everything, and overall, we're both just happy with how it turned out. It has twist off. Now let's go ahead and put a blade on there. This does take a 1-inch blade, but of course, I'll use my 7/8" blade with my 1-inch blade adapter. Oh, let me go ahead and pull the retention screw a little bit back. Put that down. All right, it's about as deep as it goes. And it's a little bit more of a darker blue. Now I'm going to try to position this in a way where you can see the whole hilt, because it is a beefy boy. Let's see, there we go. We'll focus the camera up here a little bit. Maybe lower the brightness. All right. Now we'll turn it off. Oh. There you got your green. Yellow. And as y'all can probably tell by now, this is just gonna go through the color spectrum. Just go through all the colors. This one actually looks really cool. Wow, that looks super sick. I've never actually messed with orange on the Cal Kestis hilt. There's red. Did not mean to do that. Magenta. Purple. Oh. I think this one's indigo. cyan, and I think this is the one we started with, but it might be one before. Let's just do one more just to be safe. There we go. All right, so there's the hilt in all its glory. Let's go ahead and turn it off and take out the chassis now. So I'll show you guys how to take out the chassis. Before anything, let me take out the blade. I'll go ahead and do this here. Take this out and this out. Oh. Put that to the side. Okay, so at this point, I'm essentially just gonna undo what I did before, or do taking off this thing's a little bit of a challenge. Oh my gosh. There we go. All right, so I'm just gonna undo what I did before and take this off. So I'm gonna cut the video here real quick while I take this off. Bear with me here 1 second. All right, guys, so we're back. I took off the emitter and the, I guess you can call it the shroud piece that sits over it. So to take this out, all you gotta do is unscrew the pommel. Screws fairly easily. Once it's here, you don't pull it or anything like that. Since this is top loaded, it's only gonna come out the top, only gonna be inserted through the top. So at this point, you quite literally just push it out. Down here, you don't have to worry about anything. There is like a little cover, but there's no speaker or anything here, so you can just push up on it without any issues. Now, there's no way for me to turn the hilt on once it's in this orientation, because there is no gesture ignition, but there's the chassis. So I'll go ahead and put this down for y'all. Y'all can take a look at it for a second while I screw this back on. Put the shroud over it and put the magnet over it. All right, cool. So there's a look at the crystal chamber, since I hadn't really been able to show y'all. It is composed of 5 pieces, the top part, bottom, 2 accent pieces with the fins, and that internal accent ring that just kind of sits around it. So at this point, if you want to take out the battery, it's pretty straightforward, just like all my other installs or builds. You will need a tool, which I have here, the back end of my coated tweezers. Just kind of shove it in there and pop it up. Then you just take it out, put it to the side, store it somewhere safely. Same thing with the bottom, and this won't turn off until both batteries are out. And then you just take it out, and that's it. Then you just pop these suckers back in and put your chassis back in the hilt. So overall, guys, that's the install. I hope y'all like it. I am really happy with how it turned out. It was a challenge. It was scary. It was a challenge. It was the first time I had done a full metal chassis for one, and it was the first time I had cut into a speaker like that. Like, guys, I feel for these. I feel bad for the other speakers. I cut into them quite deep. I feel bad for this speaker too. I cut into it quite deep, but this one's working. So, and they were all working. I mean, that's not to say that they weren't working. They were all working perfectly fine. It's just that with the contacts touching the side there, they just kind of like fried. So nothing to do with the speakers themselves, nothing to do with the install itself. It was simply just logic. You know, the speakers touch, they fry. Trying to set this back up without actually, there we go. Okay, so Um, One thing I wanted to mention, I will, if anyone does want me to put this up for sale, I mean, I likely will. Um, I won't give you guys the option of doing it all brass unless very specifically requested, and you know what you're getting into, because I mean it can definitely be done, as you can see in the video. But one thing I will change to make this more accessible and more easy for everyone that's gonna that would want to purchase this, um, is I'm gonna change this top part to be how I had planned it out to be, before I knew that the customer wanted a 28 millimeter. And I'm just gonna make this 24 millimeter speaker holder. Um, that way there doesn't have to be any cutouts, no cutouts on the speaker, or anything like that. The only thing that you'll kind of see a little bit will be like the wires coming out the side, but you won't have to modify your speaker. You won't have to modify your hilt, and it'll make it easier to load, take the chassis in and out from the bottom. That way you just have that. And I'll likely end up making another variant or another chassis for this hilt, because I liked this hilt a lot. It was a really nice hilt to work on. I really like that it's all the way through 27 millimeters. Although the only reason I just want to make another one is because personally I don't have a big blade or anything that requires a lot of battery draw. So I might just make one that has like an OLED screen or a spinning crystal chamber or something, else that can fit in it. But for anyone that might want this, you'll have that option of having the 24 millimeter speaker. And again, I am so sorry guys, I know every time I say I'm gonna update my Shapeways shop and then I don't. It's like I said, it's just the prices on there are a little bit ridiculous. I can buy something on there for like $400, and on Craft Cloud is $200. So I would always rather you guys reach out to me first, so that I can offer you something from Craft Cloud that'll be cheaper, even if I were to mark it up or anything like that, than anything I can sell you from Shapeways with no markup. But I'll I'll get to it. I will get to it. That's all I have to say. Thank you guys for watching. I know this was a very long one, but I hope y'all enjoy it, and I hope y'all like the chassis. This is probably gonna be the thumbnail just because it has a full metal chassis, or maybe maybe like this. I don't know. Something's gonna be the thumbnail. Thank you guys for watching. I never know what to say to close this out. Later.